Maplestory the Novel, Season 1, Sacred Tears. Written by Tatsumari Korisuno. Chapter 21, Part 1. Prelude.
I thought you wanted to cure the world of its darkness, not become it,
grunted Tahir, barely standing after the chain spears had punched through his body, hearing a dark chuckle as Dane spoke.
I have erased it, and from it, I have created a power that not even the gods can defeat. There is one last thing I need, and it would all be over.
Willing every last bit of strength left to him, Tahir stumbled to Dane, latching onto his cloak so as not to fall.
You were the white mage, the one who would save us. You can't do that as a black mage.
Dane looked down at him, grabbing his shirt and hauling him into the air.
I am saving you by getting rid of it all. And please, call me Magus Sloe.
What do we do now?
Asked Will once Ariel and Xiriun were gone. Tahir sat beside him on the medical cot, leaning on his knees as he rested his nose on his laced fingers. We have to get Mars or Viren on our side. I will take care of them. You need to gather as many acolytes and clerics as you can. I have a feeling this will tear Aurora apart in a civil war.
You want to start a mutiny? The world is in grave danger. How can you think of something like mutiny?
Will asked, throwing on a new shirt and grabbing up his staff. The world has been inching closer to disaster every day. It's only now that we've seen the path we were taking and how close we are to it. You heard Ariel confirm my theory. Master Dane is the one creating these more powerful omens. He nearly killed you for Minerna's sake. Will's head dropped and his shoulders slumped.
What about Lotus and Orchid? Aren't they almost as powerful as Master Dane, if not more so?
They aren't here anymore.
What? What happened to them? Where are they?
No one knows. They left soon after telling us about Dane beginning to go mad. If they were here, I'd be more at ease. Will's entire being looked to slump, sighing hard and shaking his head before leaning down and covering his face, rubbing his eyes and pinching the bridge of his nose.
All this time, I've been training to rid the world of the omens, to one day help the world heal. I still want to believe in that mission.
Will sighed, as Tahir laid a heavy hand on his shoulder, squeezing it slightly. You still can, Will, but if we don't do something, that mission will be lost to us. Gather Eleanor and Xenos and have them help you as well. If they have any misgivings, tell them to come to me. Will picked his eyes up, stealing his expression and pulling his body to rigid attention when he realized that Tahir called him by Will for the first time.
Aye, Commander. You can count on me.
Tahir nodded, jerking his head and telling Will to get going. Once alone, Tahir let himself think. If Dane were the one behind the omens becoming more powerful, he would have informed the rest of the Aurora, right? Why keep it a secret? The only reason to keep it a secret was so that no one else would have to be so close to darkness all the time. Unless the darkness has infected and controlled him all this time, Tahir thought. That thought alone drove him to direct his convincing to Viren first. Viren seemed like he would be at least open to the possibility. As Tahir expected, he found Viren within the knowledge depository. Master Viren, he called, trotting up to him, making the other clerics and a few of the acolytes snap their attention to him.
Commander Tahir! What's the matter? You look pale,
asked Viren. Speaking low, Tahir leaned in so that Viren was the only one to hear. I need to speak with you in private. There is an imminent threat to the Aurora, he muttered. Viren smiled and spoke openly.
There is no need to be so secretive, Commander. I'm sure that...
No, retorted Tahir in a dull hiss. Viren lost his friendly expression, his brow lowering and his shoulders stiffening. Holding a hand out, he escorted Tahir to his office, shut the door, and cast a spell to keep anyone outside from hearing.
What is so urgent that you need to speak only to me, Commander?
I have reason to believe that Master Dane is creating the stronger omens. As a result, he is amplifying the darkness currently in the world. I also believe that the darkness is controlling Dane to push the world closer to a state of disaster. Viren lowered his brow further, squinting his eyes and tilting his head while stepping closer.
Are you certain, Commander? If this is some kind of joke...
I assure you, Master Viren, this is no joke. I would go to Mars, but I don't think he would believe me. He seems willfully blind to what is going on here. Viren sat down, setting his staff on the table and gripping his chin.
What evidence do you have to prove this?
Very little. Most of what I have to offer is only speculation. The only solid thing I have to offer is that the goddess Ariel warned me that darkness has begun twisting Master Dane beyond saving. The only way to confirm or deny my suspicions is to talk to Master Dane himself.
Then why are you coming to me? It sounds like you have a planned course of action.
Because I must convince Master Mars to let me see Master Dane. Without your help, I doubt I would be able to do so. As I said, he either knows what is happening and has kept it hidden, or is willfully blind. Viren pushed his tongue into his cheek, pinching the bridge of his nose.
Have you told anyone about this?
The only other one who knows is Will. I have sent him to gather clerics and acolytes who would stand against Master Dane if this is true. Viren dropped his forehead into his hand with a heavy sigh, staying that way for a long while in deafening silence.
I would hate to think this is all some elaborate ruse, Commander,
Viren growled, snatching up his staff and standing to his full height, squaring his shoulders before motioning him to follow.
If this is true, you were right to come to me. But you were hasty in trying to recruit members of the Aurora before doing so,
he sighed.
What's done is done. If Cleric Will does gather any that would be loyal, gather them in the forest to the south. I will come for you after reviewing a few things in the depository, he commanded.
Tahir nodded his understanding, leaving with hurried steps to complete what could either be a near miss or a great tragedy.
He should have come already,
Will bellowed, looking north as he stood with his back to the small staging camp in the forest. Viren said he would come for us when he was ready. I just told him something that rocks everything he believes in, so I think he must convince himself by finding a pattern. Would you have believed it yourself had you not lived through it? Tahir asked, looking over to Eleanor as she leaned against a tree on the fringes of the firelight.
It still doesn't seem right. Why would Master Dane be the danger we are trying to prevent?
She asked.
You weren't there, Eleanor. You didn't feel the haunting, soul-chilling darkness that came with him. He's been using darkness so long that it's begun to become a part of him. He's been using darkness so long that it's begun to become a part of him.
Will answered.
I thought he knew the dangers of messing with it from the start.
That's the thing about darkness, Paladin Eleanor.
Another voice said, making her draw and hold her sword to Viren's throat, flames thundering around the cutting edges.
Master Viren,
It's all right. But to answer your question, darkness is not something that takes you over all at once. It is a slow process. This is something that Master Dane wrote in his earliest days of research. It has no form, yet it fills the world. It has no substance, yet it taints even the purest of hearts. It has no will, yet all who see it succumb to it. Later writings say that if one is constantly aware, darkness will touch you. And if you let it, it will grow in power at a nearly undetectable rate. But it will almost certainly be too late when one realizes how much control it has.
But something has to let it in first, doesn't it? As long as you pay attention, it shouldn't be a problem, right? Xenos asked. Viren shook his head.
I think there has always been a spot of darkness within him that was never fully dealt with. In his middle writings, Dane speaks of someone named Minodora. It sounds like she meant a great deal to him, but there is no mention of what happened to her. With that spot still within him, there is already a foothold for the darkness to latch onto. Working to make darkness stronger only made it worse.
Silence hung thick between them, the only sound being the crackling of the fire. Viren broke the silence, turning to Tahir with questioning eyes.
How many of the Aurora were you able to gather?
The four of them hung their heads and their shoulders dropped.
We are all that are here. The Acolytes laughed off Will's efforts, and the other clerics blatantly threatened to have disciplinary action brought against him for speaking such slander,
answered Tahir, reaching for his dagger and balancing it on the tip of his finger.
I had a feeling this would be the case,
Viren quietly muttered, shaking his head.
But still, there is a grave danger that we must stop. Xenos and Eleanor, I want you ready to rally and organize the order should chaos ensue. I will take Tahir and Will to see Master Mars and, ultimately, Master Dane.
Xenos and Eleanor nodded understanding, gathering their belongings and putting out the fire.
Good luck to you both,
Will called.
Good luck to us all,
Tahir continued, waving as he turned. As he walked, a wave of calm came over him, much like he had felt before Dane found him in the forest so long ago.
Talea, I'm sorry you had to wait. I think I'll be coming home this time.
Pacing near the door to Dane's lab, Mars tried to appear calm. Something was going on in the ranks of the Aurora, and someone was spreading rumors about how Dane was causing more trouble than he was fixing. Yes, he knew about the omens, but they were directly related to researching the darkness and finding the ultimate darkness, weren't they? At the same time, small doubts began to leak into his mind. Had he been complicit in allowing the Master to continue as he had? Had he been willfully ignorant of the worsening of the world's darkness through the Master's research? Had the Master's recent enriching experiments affected him more than he had seen? But they were so close to creating that ultimate darkness, and with that, they could make the ultimate light. Mars jumped when Viren called to him, clearing his throat and straightening his shoulders. There was also that mercenary and Will with him. The mercenary could be the one starting the rumors.
Yes, Viren, what can I do for you? Commander Tahir needs to see the Master. There is something urgent that we must discuss with him.
Mars raised his eyebrow, looking at Tahir while taking a breath with feigned calm.
I'm sorry, but I can't allow the Master to be disturbed at this time. We are close to finding what we have been after all this time,
he replied, pulling his arms behind him as if to appear more authoritative.
Have you not seen what has been happening around us? Have you not heard what the Acolytes and the Clerics have reported in their findings of the omens?
Xiriun bellowed, loud enough to disrupt the nearby Acolytes in their studies.
The strength of the omens is because of the strength of the darkness. We knew this would happen when we left the world behind to complete our research here. Do not lose faith now, Xiriun, when we are so close to achieving our goal!
Mars! We need to speak to the Master to either refute or confirm a grave matter!
Tahir thundered, beginning to draw more people around them.
That is Master Mars to you. And what would this grave matter be?
Asked Mars, looking down at them from over his nose.
That Master Dane has been the one creating and strengthening the omens, and as a result, has been taken over by the darkness itself.
Will finished. A hush descended over the crowd. Acolytes looking back and forth between Mars, Tahir, Will, and Xiriun.
Is this true, Master Mars? Has the mage been creating stronger omens?
Asked a young acolyte. More of them began to press in, asking the same question, demanding some kind of answer, shuffling Will to further back in the crowd.
If you have known about this, then you are no master of mine.
Xiriun howled. Mars sighed, holding up his hand to quiet them all. Swallowing hard, he hung his head, sucking on his upper lip hidden under his grand mustache.
I've known. I've known since we first retreated to this forest. The Master has been creating stronger and stronger omens, enriching them to create the ultimate darkness, from which we can use the ultimate light. The Master is so close. We cannot start letting doubts cloud our minds. I choose to believe in the Master until the end.
All the acolytes stood stunned, unable to speak, when Tahir broke the silence, pointing to him with a shaking finger.
You knew about the omens? People were suffering worldwide, and you knew who created these monsters?